So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into your customization tab, and you're going to want to make a copy of the current done for you template that you got as part of your sign-in package. So you're going to hit copy modify current sales model and proceed. That's going to take a minute. And what that is basically going to do is give you the same structure as that done for you template inside of the biz kit. So it's going to pre-populate some folders in the general tab. It's going to create a default experience in the contacts and sales flow game board, the launchpad game board, and the activity tracker game board. And then what we're going to do together is show you how you can begin customizing your experience to make it look like your personal sales experience for your team and your company. Okay, so now that we have made a copy of that done for you template, what you can now do is begin customizing. So let's just you may have a team name that you want to call this, whatever it might be. So you're just basically, this field here is what's going to show up in the individual teammates drop down to tell them what leader upline sales experience are they using. So by default, as long as your sales experience is published when you invite people in, or they invite people in, they will default to whatever sales model is attached at the time of invitation. They may change it at any time to any of their uplines who are elite influencers that have created their own sales experience. So first, we rename the model. We can then change and play around with our colors here. We can upload a team logo. And then down here is where you will see, let me just delete this folder that's not supposed to be there. Down here is where you're going to see a folder structure where you can begin adding content. This is what most leaders I see today using boards for, or maybe a Telegram channel, basically a place to store a resource vault, to store graphics, quick references, training material, scripts, what have you. So the way this looks on the user side, if you click on Content Collab, these are those folders right here that are inside that general tab. So under quick references, we have an announcements, contests, training entry. We have a calendar of events training entry, and we have an FAQ. Where those come into and get created, under the general tab here, there's the quick references and there's the announcements and contests. So if you go in here and click edit, you can change the name of the title, you can change which folder it belongs to, and you can, add any text. You can change the size of the text, the nature of the text, the color of the text. It's fairly flexible. You can insert links, you can insert pictures, videos. If you want to attach Word documents or PDFs or anything else, or attach a physical MP4 video, you need to use this upload file feature down below. So this entire area is currently under development to be reconstructed to be more like a website development experience. So for now, this is the way that you will create those training entries. So let's just hit save. You are able to delete, edit any of the folders that are here, as well as maybe add new folders that you want to bring in. So maybe you have some excellent material that you want to share on mindset. So you can create a new folder and then begin adding training entries to that folder. So as you saw so we've got a general customization area, and then we have a customization tab for each of the game boards. So contacts and sales flow, launchpad, and activity tracker. This is the game board. This is the game board for each of those. And this is the content collab, which is where the general tab sits. So if we go into contacts and sales flow, there are all these silver circles, which are basically embedded training. So let's look at the network. The first stage has a training circle. So if I click on that training circle, you will see these are the different training entries that have been placed in that training entry. So if I go back into customization and I go into contacts and sales flow tool and I click on that first stage called network, you can see down here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 training entries that have been added. So these are the training entries that get access when that silver circle on the network stage is clicked. So that is all of the embedded training. So anywhere in any of the game boards that there is embedded training, after the first 30 days, where your teammates have free access to the game boards, free access to the entire BizKit application for 30 days, after 30 days, if they choose not to upgrade, they will only have access to this content collab space, which means they no longer get to leverage the game board style to track their activity and business, but they can still continue to access the business essentials and the embedded training inside of those game boards. So there's that network stage, and here's those 5 training entries that were attached at that network stage. Inside the Launchpad, also the same concept. So you will be able to continue accessing all the training that has been embedded inside of the sales model after the 30 days is up. We move into how you are able to customize the contacts and sales flow game board experience. So first thing I'll do is give you a little overview of the contacts and sales flow tool. So here is 3 different stages of your sales experience or sales funnel. This is basically, everyone in your network or on your list. If stage 2 means that they have been presented the opportunity or the product or whatever it is that you're offering, and they are currently thinking about it in the thinking stage of the sales process. And here is where you have collected some kind of a decision, whether that be they became a customer, a teammate, or they said they weren't interested right now. So as you add new people to your list, so I'm just going to put open status on this contact and hit save. Now here is where your teammates will be given direction on how to move contacts through the sales experience. So when I put this person becomes interested, then there is not only training on, what do you do for people when they're interested, also you can put extra actions that you want them to take when the person has been dropped into that stage of the funnel. So a good example of actions in a step would be, what do you do after you invite them into an information group, like an ATM group? Well, what we want you to do is make sure that they've actually accepted your invitation. So we may put today's date as the date that they accepted. We want to make sure that you're tagging them in some kind of a welcome or a key post and keeping track of their last date of engagement. Maybe you host live events in your ATM where you can, indicate that you've tagged them into a live event. And every step in the sales process, you can attach comments to each of those steps. And you, as the elite influencer, get to decide what fields are in this action list and what types of field they are, whether they're date fields, check marks, drop downs, open free text, etc., radio buttons. You have full control over the steps that you would like your teammates to take when they have added an individual person to this specific step in the sales process. Now, everything about this experience is customizable by you. The names of the stages, the names of the steps. The stages are only 3. You cannot add or remove stages, but you can add or remove steps in stages 2 or stage 3. Stage 1 only has a single master list that is designed basically to just manage your So if we have multiple names in here, as you drag the names into the respective folder, this list is going to maintain your master list of people. Okay, so the other functionality of the contacts and sales flow tool is that you can actually view your downlines information as well. Now, when you click on your downline information, you will not be able to see the details of their prospects. You will only see the unique ID that is related. So instead of seeing name 2, you would only see the number 2 here. So you can map it back with your teammate for mentoring and coaching purposes, but we hide the details of their prospect for privacy reasons. Now you can also search on name. So if you're searching for someone specifically and you have a large list, you can easily do that. You can also search and filter on statuses. Now, statuses are also something that are customizable by you. The default done for you template comes with some generic statuses, but now I'm going to hop into the customization area of the contacts and sales flow tool to show you specifically how you would do that. So I already discussed how you would add training to the stages. So right here, you would just simply add training, delete what you don't want, edit, etc. Here is the context step in the network stage, and there are a sequence of attributes that are mandatory. So these are some basic attributes like name, comments, Instagram link, phone number, date of last contact, date of next contact. All of these fields are mandatory, but there is also the ability for you to add additional attributes. So maybe you want to track different information about your prospects, whether it be a physical mailing address, their birthday, whether they were a referral from someone. You can add any type of field, and again, you decide what type of field it's going to be by just clicking on it. This is where the statuses can be added or edited. You can change the color of the status, you can change the name of the status. So this is a very strategic field in that it does allow you to filter out and make that contacts and sales flow tool much more usable for your team. So in the second stage, the thinking about it stage, same concept. You can add training, edit training, delete training. And here are the steps in that stage. So you can edit the name of the step. You can delete the ones that are there. Just be cautious because all the actions get deleted with it. And you can add new steps into that stage. Underneath the steps, so in the interested step, the one that's highlighted, these are the actions that are inside of that step. Right now we have training at the step level. So not only do you have training at the stages level, you also have training, individual training at the step level specific to that individual step. So you can also change the order. So you just simply drag and drop, and you can change the order of the actions. You can change the order of the steps. You cannot change the order of the stages. You can also change the order of the training. So if you add one and you think it should be ordered differently, it's very easy to change that. And then, of course, the same approach in the last stage where you can do the exact same thing here. So now what we're going to do is go into the Launchpad and show you how you would customize the Launchpad. So the Launchpad is probably one of the first places you're going to want to spend your energy in beginning to customize your sales experience. So this done for you template has some basic sections in it. We have 4 different section types in this launch. We have a things to do in your first 24 to 48 hours, which is a basic checklist of actions. We have what's called a guided checklist of actions, which could be a number of days, it could be a number of sections, and basically that's a series of tasks within a different type of section, whether that be days, section, etc. You are able to filter and you are able to show all. And then the third section is more of a free flow section where you can ask specific questions get them to upload completed templates or documents, enter goals and actuals. And then the fourth type of section is like a content calendar section type, where you can basically put different entries in to help guide them in a calendar content or training format. So here, from the end user perspective, they're going to by default be landed on the new rep onboarding steps when they are invited into your experience. So now let me share with you how you would start going about modifying your onboarding experience. So from customizations, you're going to click on Launchpad, and the first thing you're going to do is decide on the name of your new rep onboarding. Now, here you can see there's a title and there's also a description. Now, I'm just going to put test description here so you can see how this comes to play. You can go through and put emojis here. You can use like a fancy font, copy paste, where you can get italics or capitals or bold, or whatever you want, just to be a little bit more fancy. So I'm just going to click. This is the title of the launch, the description of the launch, and here's the email that's going to be sent to your new teammate when you actually invite a new teammate into your company. So this is the default that's built by you, the elite influencer, and this will come up for all of your downline who click invite new rep. All they need to do is modify it if they want to, or click send invite if they like it the way that it is. So let's just hit save on that and go back into the Launchpad, and now you're going to see that little test description is updated. So it's important to note that while you're in draft mode, you are able to go back and forth between customizations and Gameboard and test your changes to see how they're going to look for your team. But it's important to know that while you're in draft, your team is not seeing your draft changes until you hit published for downline use, at which time they will then be invited into that and see that experience. So let's go back into the Launchpad. Now here you see there's those 4 sections that we discussed, right? The first section was a checklist of items, which if you click edit, you'll see this is a simple checklist, and it's got a timeline of 48 hours. Now, if it is checkmarked as time sensitive, what that's going to do is put a timer on the new teammate who joins the team. When they click initiate launch, that countdown will begin. So this is what determines the timeline of that section if it is time sensitive. You can also attach customized trophies to each of the sections in the launch as well. So that's the first section. The second section is that guided checklist. So here you've got 7-day social media warm-up. It's 7 days, and the name of each section is day. So in this example, we have 7 days of activity that are structured. You may have 7 sections of activity that are structured. This is very customizable, so you can do as you wish. Now you can also put descriptions in here, and you can also have a custom trophy for this section. Now I believe if I was to add a new section of this type, so let me just add a new section, testing duplicate activities, and let's say I want to do a guided checklist. There is an option here for you to repeat activities. So what this will do, if you click on repeat activities and hit save, here's that new section. So I'm actually just going to drag this over here, click here. Now if I go into each day below, and let's say I add task 1 and give that a 10-point value and hit save. Repeat activities means that task 1 is now going to exist in all 7 days. If repeat activity was not set, then this task would only have been added to day 1. So let's now go into the freeform section. So this is that third section where you could enter goals, ask them to upload files. So if you click edit here, the section type is a free flow section type. Now in a free flow, you can add fields. So when you add a new field, you put in the field name and then you select the type of field that you want it to be here. Okay. You can also delete and edit the existing fields that are in the Done For You template. And then also you can add training. So at the section level, you can add training. Now, if there was training, I believe there's training on, yes, 7-day social media. So if I go back to the Launchpad, you'll see here that silver circle is going to open up those training entries that are built inside of that section. So let's go back into customization one more time. Launchpad. So we discussed the editing of the new rep onboarding. Note that you cannot delete the new rep onboarding steps. This launch is one of the mandatory launches in the Launchpad. So you can edit it and you can duplicate it, but you cannot delete the single launch. It's part of the onboarding default functionality. So the other thing you can do here is you can add separate launches. So let's say we want rank sprint to diamond, and you can enter a description in here, and you can actually send an email out to your team saying that this new launch has been created, and hit save. Let's do a test and save. And now you can begin creating, maybe this is just a simple things to do to reach diamond. You can add training in here. Maybe it's just going to be a simple checklist, right? And it's not time sensitive because we don't know when people are going to hit. You could have a custom graphic that maybe is the a diamond welcome or congratulations for hitting diamond rank that they can download and share out. But here, add task 1. Give it a point value. Point values are not active yet, but they will be soon. Task 2, etc. Maybe this one's more important. You give it 50 points. And now if you go into the Launchpad, not only will there be a new rep onboarding steps, but you've got that rank sprint to diamond, which when they click on it the first time, they will have to click the initiate button above to start the launch. You can decide if it's time sensitive or not. It's up to you. Now here's where they would see, any training that you added and the tasks at hand in each of the checklist items. This becomes a hyperlink if training has been attached to that check mark. So if I want to make that a check mark, a hyperlink check mark, I would simply go down here and add training to this list and click save. And now when the user hits the Launchpad, for that new launch, now you'll see task 1. Oh, it should have been. Task 1, day 1. Oh, why is it under day 1? Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong. Pardon me. Let me go back here. Rank sprint to diamond. And task 1, I want to add a training. So now when the user selects that new launch, that task 1 is now a hyperlink. So you can put video tutorials in here. You can put graphics, text, whatever it is that you think they need to guide them in that task. So now let's go into the activity tracker and start to create your custom experience for the activities you want your team to perform on the daily, weekly, and monthly. So the first thing to really notice here is there are 2 daily activities that, as you can see, you're not able to delete. These are the 2 activities that are intelligently linked to your contacts and sales flow tool, specifically leveraging the next follow-up date and where they are in the stages of the sales flow. So what you're going to want to understand is the logic behind these 2 activities. So if we go into the activity tracker and we click on invite, you'll see this little tip here, and this is going to show you what the system is going to do to make suggestions according to the user's data. So this specific task I've called invite, and what this will do is show the contacts that are in the first stage only with activity on them. So there's a last follow-up date or a next follow-up date. If there's no activity, then it's randomly going to pick the number of people to match the goal. So if you have 5 as the goal, it's going to show 5 suggestions. If you have 2, it's going to show 2 suggestions. It will randomly pick from stage 1 people that you could reach out to and specifically invite. Okay. The follow-up, the next SMART activity, is going to use a slightly different rule set to pick SMART suggestions. This is actually going to show people the priority will be anyone who has a next follow-up date set on them of today or in the past, and it's also going to match the goal suggestion. If there are not enough people to fill the suggested goal, then we're going to choose contacts that are in stage 2 that are not yet in stage 3. Okay, so that logic is why I've called this activity follow-up. So if you do rename, let me go back in here. If you do rename these activities, I do suggest that you make sure that whatever you name it matches the logic of the SMART suggestions. Now you can turn off the suggested activity, but I don't recommend it. The other thing that's really important to understand as an elite influencer creating your business practice is that you can set the goal for your team. They can decrease it, increase it, or keep it the same. It's entirely up to them, but this is going to set the bar. You can also indicate when you recommend they follow up with that person based on the nature of that activity. So in the Done For You template, the invitation suggestion is following up the very next day if they've been intentionally invited to either look at something or attend something. Now, this repeat infinitely basically says from this day forward, I want invite to be an activity that occurs infinitely every single day. If this is off, then it's only going to create this activity on the specific day that you have created it on. So in this case, it would be the 30th of April. That activity is only going to display on that day. Okay, so again, you can drag and drop the order. In this case, I have strategically placed it in, doing all of your contact follow-ups so that you're heating up the algorithm a little bit before you start posting your content, right? Now, you may want business development to be a weekly activity. If that's the case, just delete it from here and add it into your weekly activities, okay? Maybe personal development is something you only want on a weekly basis. Maybe you don't want to do feed posts on the daily. This is entirely your call as the leader who's setting the bar for your team. Now, if you want training on the specific action, so if we go back into the game board activity tracker and I click on new connections, you can see here there's no embedded training right now. So if you want to add training, you're simply just going to do what we've talked about in the other game boards. You're going to click on that thing that you want to add training, and you're going to simply click whatever it is, whether it's videos, graphics, scripts, you name it. And now when your team clicks on that activity, you can teach them exactly how you suggest making new connections and conversations. And this is where that content will show up and how it will show up for your teammates. So again, your team can decrease the goals, increase the goals, and you also, if the activity is linked to a contact, then it will automatically pull up the select contact window. If it is not selected, linked to a contact, it's simply going to check the task off. So they got their stories and reels done for the day. And that is determined by this linked to contact field when you create that activity. So if I go into stories and reels, you can see it is not linked to a contact record. And that's why it automatically just checked off the box versus pulling up the select a contact flow. Now here you can see also they can modify their monthly goal, they can set the actual, if they achieve their goal, the system's going to celebrate with them, that kind of thing. You also can reset to default. So if your teammates, change the goals and they want to reset back to your standard business practice, they can do that as well. Soon we will have automated power blitzes where you can create blitzes on specific activities or a daily blitz. And also the notification banner is going to be deployed sometime soon as well.